Hey everybody, it's Peter B. And I want to tell you about a book I heard good reviews and I bought and I read it in just a couple of days. I really enjoyed the book. It's about a Japanese American baseball player called Wally Yonamine. He went over to Japan and played, and he actually became a Japanese Hall of Famer, the first American to do so. He faced many racial challenges because this was right after World War II, and he is called the Jackie Robinson of Japanese baseball. Let me tell you a quick history about Wally. Wally was born in 1925 on the Hawaiian island of Maui. His parents have both immigrated from Japan separately, met in Maui, got married, actually ended up having 7 kids. Wally was the third of the 7. Now, because his parents were of Japanese descent, yet he was born in a different country, in this case, the Hawaiian Islands, which is a territory of the United States at the time. Japanese considered him a Nisei. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Nisei. And they didn't have, in the Japanese opinion, full, true Japanese value. Now, he played in Maui, and in high school he was so good he went over to Honolulu of Oahu Island and played high school baseball and football and was a star athlete. The day after he graduated high school, because this was in 1945, the war was still going on, and he was drafted into the U.S. Army. Lucky for him, 2 months after being drafted, the war ended, so he never saw any action. He had to finish his duty with the Army, and he spent 1.5 years playing both football and baseball on the Army teams, where once again he was very good. Once the Army released him in 1947, he signed a 2-year contract with the football San Francisco 49ers. Now, you have to remember, this is right after World War II. And he was Japanese looking. He considered himself a Hawaiian first, a Japanese American second. But when he went to the mainland to play ball, the mainland treated him very differently than Hawaii did. To most of them, he was still an enemy. He was a Japanese, and they were just recently fighting against him. So he had to deal with many racial tensions of being an American, but treated like a Japanese during the war. He played as halfback, kicker, and defensive back for the San Francisco 49ers. He didn't get into many games because he was a rookie, but the games he did play, he did fairly well. And during the off year between his first and second season, he was playing baseball for a semi-pro team, and he slid into second base, and as he was trying to grab the bag, he broke his wrist. This kind of affected his play, and when he went back to the second year tryout camps to make the team, he was cut. They drafted more rookies, and some other rookie took his place. But he was the first Japanese descent football player which was pretty cool. For that 1 year, he did play for the 49ers. No longer playing football, he was playing on semi-pro baseball teams, and Lefty O'Doul from American baseball knew about him and wanted to sign him for his San Francisco Seals team that was in the Pacific Coast League, and he did. He wanted to farm him out for the first year to the Salt Lake Bees, which was the Seals farm team, which he did. Lefty O'Doul's plan was to bring him up the following year to have him play with the Seals. Now, a little bit about Lefty O'Doul. He was very influential about the development of Japanese baseball. He went over a couple of times and played against the Japanese team. He had a pro team from the Americas, and he played against the Japanese team before and after the war. Matter of fact, there was a big trip. The San Francisco Seals team went over to Japan and played against the Japanese team. This was before Wally was playing baseball. But O'Doul had a good relationship with the Japanese baseball. So, meanwhile, in 1947, after the war, the Japanese League tried starting up again. They started in 1934, obviously shut down during the war, and they wanted to start up again in 1947. Now, the Yomiuri Giants, also known as the Tokyo Giants, were basement dwellers in their first couple of years after the war. Prior to, they were always the winners. The Tokyo Giants are sort of like the New York Yankees. Treated the same way, respected the same way in each country. And the owner of the Giants wanted to be the best team again. And he decided, well, let's bring talent from America to play with us on the Japanese team. Now, they couldn't bring a Caucasian because this was right after the war, and he would have got slaughtered in a Japan League. So they looked for a Nishi, or a Japanese American, someone who could fit in, looks like the other people. And O'Doul recommended Wally Yonamine, not only because he was a Japanese American, but his temperament was very calm, good-natured. Everybody liked him. And so the Giants signed him in 1951. This making him the first American player after the war to play in Japan. Now, he experienced just the opposite racial tension. To other Japanese players, he was an American. Now, in 1951, Tokyo was still controlled by the U.S. It was a military state. Most of the city was totally bombed during the war, and so they were just starting to build it back up, but you can see the war remains wherever you went. And many people didn't appreciate this American playing in their sacred Japanese baseball. He eventually won on to his teammates and then the rest of the league because of his good nature. He didn't want to have any favoritism. He wanted to do exactly what they did. They slept in uncomfortable conditions, mostly on the floor, and he did right along with them. He didn't want any special consideration. He also brought the American aggressiveness to Japanese baseball. He would run out to his position in center field before the inning, and when it's his time to come back, he would run back to the dugout. The Japanese players would just calmly stroll to their positions, and they saw him doing this. he would slide hard into second base and try to break up a double play. Prior to that, if a Japanese runner is on first and the batter hits a ball to the shortstop or second baseman and it's going to be a double play, the runner would actually run out of the baseline so the person on second could catch the ball and have an easy time throwing the first. He would dive for balls in the outfield. Prior to this, the Japanese player would just run in, stop, and catch the ball on one hop. Everything he did was to win. And at first, the Japanese players thought he was crazy, but then they started seeing the results, and he basically changed the way Japanese baseball was played on the field. Everybody eventually loved him. He was a very good player, won the equivalent of the MVP one year. After he retired from playing, he was a player and coach and then manager for 38 years in Japanese baseball. In 1994, he was inducted into the Japanese Hall of Fame. This was the same year as Sada Haraho. Now, let me tell you a story, speaking of Sada Haraho. In 1951, when he was a rookie, there was an 11-year-old boy standing where the players would go by after a game, and he was trying to get an autograph from his heroes. And every player ignored him, didn't even look at him, and walked right by him. Well, the very last player in line was Wally. He stopped, talked to the 11-year-old boy, and gave him an autograph. Now, that boy would remember it the rest of his life, and that little boy's name was Sada Haraho. Everybody loved Wally. When he finally got out of Japanese baseball, he came back to Hawaii to retire and live out his life. Everyone in Hawaii loved him. He was just a real nice guy. If you want to learn more about Japanese baseball, I mean, all the big names are in the book. Many of them I cannot pronounce, but you read about when Sada Haraho was called up as a rookie to play for the Tokyo Giants. That's in all there. And I get to learn about these names I see on baseball cards. I really like the book. And if you want to get into a little bit more understanding about Japanese baseball, and especially if you want to understand Wally Yonamine, a true hero, all-around nice guy, this is a good book. Now, anyone who watched my videos before know that when I get a book, I need to buy a bookmark. So I went out and got this to use as my bookmark when I read. This is a 1958 JCM29 Menko baseball card. It comes in different color backgrounds. I know there's a green, there may be like a yellowy, orangey. I like the red. I thought it made the player pop out from the background. This has a catcher back. These are all game cards. I don't understand what the game is or how to play, but that's the back. So I thought it was pretty cool. Now, I ordered it from a guy who I ordered before, and he was very nice and threw in another card for free. And this is a 1958 again. This is from the JCM 316 series Menko. This has a little guy running. But that was very nice of him. He threw this one in for free. And that's Wally. Now, about a third of the way through, I really learned to like Wally Yonamine. So I went out and bought a third card. And this is a 1951, so it's his rookie card. It's a JBR1 bromide. Now this has a blank back. But I was impressed So I wanted his rookie card. It wasn't expensive. And once again, he is a Japanese Hall of Famer that really changed the way Japanese baseball's played today. So that's it. So if, like I said, if you want to learn about a little bit more about Japanese baseball, hear about all the names, read about all the names that you see on the Japanese baseball cards that you cannot pronounce from the late 50s, early 60s. This is a great book to read, and he's also a very nice guy. So that's it, everybody. It's a real crappy Thursday in southern New England. It's cold and rainy and expecting a northeaster. So I hope everybody outside of southern New England has a terrific Thursday. Goodbye.